Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll just start in a few minutes. Yeah. All right. I guess we can start. Right. I'll just clarify a few things. Okay. I see some questions in the chat again already. All right. I'm Gaurav. I'll be taking. Hi. Hello everyone. Yes. I'm Gaurav. I'll be your TA for this course in programming in modern C++. Uh, So the sessions will sort of go like this. So every Monday from 6 to 8, I'll be sort of clearing your doubts um, for this course. The NPTEL program itself has your course structure as usual, right? But what I'll be focusing on is clearing your doubts. I'll not be solving assignment, like I'll not be solving questions as in I don't set the questions, so I'm just clearing. There are other TAs in the course who will be handling questions like setting exams and everything. So what my thing will be, because I'm from PMRF, so what I'll be doing is clarifying your doubts. I'll be recapping a lot of the concepts that we'll be learning in the course every week, right? So my focus will be to clarify those the questions that you have from the course. Okay, so yeah, I'll also be showing you guys through examples and codes. So it sort of will be like a live session coding. So you guys can follow along. Okay. Um, yeah, that's sort of the gist of what we'll be doing. So this course is of 12 weeks. So the uh, evening sessions, right? There will be from like today till 12 weeks. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Depending on how uh, things go on, we might have a extra last session after 12, so maybe a 13th session. But yeah, you can think like this will be more or less for 12 weeks. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Right. Go ahead, Manshu.
So, sir, before, what is the prerequisite of this course?
Oh
And
yeah,
how
that's it.
should we study that?
Right. Good question. So prereq will be something like think of, so this is actually a sort of an advanced course. So programming modern C++. So you see the word modern. So yeah, the focus will definitely be on the modern features of C++, like after C++11. Okay. So C++ as a language has evolved for a lot of like so many years so now. And after C++11 standard, there have been a lot of features that have been introduced. And the uh, features themselves are quite useful to know. Okay. So if you're writing programming or you're doing programming in or writing codes in this modern era, learning those new features is actually like very much useful, and not just useful, it's sort of necessary when you're writing codes in production. Let's say production could be in like industry, or even if you're in academia and working in a very uh, like a very large code base, and maintaining and using and getting to learn about how different aspects of the code interact with each other. Okay, so in those cases, learning the modern features is absolutely very much useful. Okay, so in those aspects, yeah, this is the focus. Now coming back to the question, I'm just giving a general description so that I guess if people have other questions, it'll probably answer them also. Uh, so this definitely requires knowledge of programming in general beforehand. So if you know C itself previously, you should be able to follow most of it, even if you don't know C++ per se. Okay. Because I'll in this first class, I'll just briefly touch upon how programming in general is done. Okay. As in, I'll focus on C++, of course, but again, you should have some experience with programming. Okay. And yeah, I will. Um, okay. I see there are a lot of questions. So um, yeah, I do want to start the session, but what do you guys suggest? Should I just go with the basics first, or should I clear the questions? I can take the question at the last also, if people are interested. Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, will the live classes be daily or?
No, it's that's the thing. These sessions are just every week. Every
Okay.
Monday. Yeah. So this is just a TA
Yeah.
session where I'll be clearing your. If you have questions, I'll be clearing those and mostly giving you just sort of a summary of what has been taught through live coding. Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. I guess I understand there are a lot of questions, but students do want me to start now. So
Hello, sir.
yeah. Hi.
Sir, if this course is theory based or practical,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
this course is theory based or practical.
Theory and practical both. Theory, what I would say is definitely there is an understanding of how the language is there. Um, okay, I'll maybe start the session soon. Last question, sorry. Uh, the Maybe I'll just go with it. I guess will have an understanding itself how the sessions will just happen. Yeah. Sorry for the questions we have. Maybe I'll take up them later. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let me share my screen and start. Okay. I'll. Yeah, this should be good. You guys can see my screen. Okay. I'm going to. Okay. So the first session will be very basic today. But do understand that will be um, increasing the learning curve a lot because I understand there'll be a lot of students who don't have any experience with some basic stuff. So I'm just covering those them for so that we're all on the same page. We'll soon be starting with programming, like let's say uh, on topics like you know okay, I'll just give a brief idea. So today I'll first cover how to write basic programs. So we'll be writing a hello world type program. Okay, I know, very basic, but then again it needs to be done. We'll start with vectors, arrays, heap. Like I also cover concepts like stack allocation, heap allocation, then ND vectors, so end-dimensional vectors, so on so forth. We'll also be covering how const memory, okay, like it's like access qualifier works. So you'll have const memory access and so those things. We'll also be then covering classes, right? So constructor, destructor, how inlining works, how you can have inheritance and references, right? Pointers, references, those kind of topics. You'll be covering, we'll be coming to these advanced, like more C++ topics fairly soon. Okay. All right. I guess I'll just start now. If you have questions, you can definitely interrupt me in between. Okay.
Sir, there is a
uh,
question, sir.
yeah, sure.
Sir, how the ID is set up being used, sir? Because it's
Sorry. Can you? I just couldn't hear. Sorry. Come again. Hello.
sir. Basically, I
Yeah.
want to ask that the how the environment is set for
Hmm.
the C++ code, sir.
Oh yeah. So you can use VS Code or any of the modern like you can use Cursor or any ID. You can use JetBrains IDs. You can use VS Code. Any of your things. It's absolutely okay. Essentially, what you need is a compiler to compile your code. You can use GCC. You can in like if you are in Linux systems or Mac systems, you can use GCC. You can even use Mac's own ARM-based builds like Clang. So you can even use that compilers. On Windows, you can install GCC Clang itself also, absolutely okay. Or you can use MINGW. Okay. You can use those also. You can use code blocks, anything. Just depending on a system, you can you are feel free to use it. These codes just require you to install a uh, compiler which supports the modern features. Let's say C++ 17 or 21 or anything above 11. Okay, that's all the requirement is. Yeah. So I'll just start now. sorry. Uh, Very basic. Yeah. So I'll include important. So IOStream, right?
So I think,
Uh,
right?
just a minute.
NPTEL.
All right. Uh, yeah, I'll save this one, and maybe inlining currently will not be good. Yeah. For now, I'll just disable my Copilot because it's better to uh, give you guys code from scratch. So yeah. All right. So let's go ahead. So the first thing is in any C++ program, you usually, so again, the extensions don't really matter when you're compiling, but then again, it just helps to distinguish the files. So usually you will have files ending with CPP, or you can also, so that's the C++ extension, just to distinguish. You can also have .cc files, right? So you can even write your programs ending with those names. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Then the first line you add is a hash include. Okay. So whenever you have hash anything in C++ or even C, okay, remember that those are sort of uh, these are macros essentially. Okay. And hash include is essentially a macro which includes this file which is there in some place. Okay. Your computer, okay, has certain paths. Okay. So these are called certain directories, right, which are accessible from any place in the in from any other directory. So they are special paths. Okay, and because the IO stream itself, because of the installation of your compiler, the IO stream is in certain such path. You can easily, you don't need to keep the complete path. You can just include the name of IO stream. Okay, and usually the angular bracket just means that it will just find it in the path. Okay, if you use uh, apostrophe, okay, it just means that the first it will look at the current path and then look in the so it will look in the current directory and then look in the path. When I say path, it will be the capital PATH. Okay, you can read up more on these things later on if you guys are not familiar and interested. Okay, the first thing is including the iostream path. Essentially it's a header file with a lot of code as in the definitions that we'll be using. Okay, so this is it's part of the standard library path, so STL. Okay, it includes things like std cout and std endl, std in, right? So on and so forth. Then these functions have their own features, and we'll be using one of them, and so on. Like we'll be using them so on in the due course, right? So the definitions of these functions themselves are there in the iostream. To include this iostream means imagine a text, a file with all these definitions. It just takes those and copy paste in the line one. So when the compilation actually really happens, your code in principle actually does not look, this hello CPP does not look like 5 lines, and it will look like, let's say, 1,000 plus 5,005 lines. Okay, so essentially whatever is there, the content there in iostream, it just copy pastes. Okay, so this is the pre-processing, and this hashing includes are essentially pre-processors. Okay, so first in any compilation the pre-processing happens, then the compilation of your code happens. Now let's write a simple program to see how the code works. Um, but note that I'm using something called standard. Okay, so this is a standard is sort of a namespace. Think of namespaces as groups. Okay, so you have certain functions, cout, cins, so on and so forth, endl, right? All these are different functions. But if I want to sort of categorize all these functions and give a name, okay, it's easier for the programmer to again keep a collection of names together and keep it aside. So namespace is used. The other reason to do that is I could have namespaces, like let's say a function, same having different definitions, right, in different places. So I could have cout, which is there in standard library, right? I could have that, I could use that. But what if I write my own function of cout and I give my own namespace. So we'll take an example of that also. Okay, so let's start with a very basic program first. So in in any C++ code, you have to have a main function. Okay, this is sort of because of the how code the language has developed. So you start with the main function. You let's say we want to just print hello world. Okay, so there is a standard cout. I'll show the syntax first. Okay, and then I end the line. Okay, simple code, simple line. It just means that I am using standard cout to print to the output. So that's the out. All right. And hello world is the string, so given by the double quotes. So hello world get printed. And standard endian, you will have just and standard endian will just mean you're ending the line. Okay, you're ending the string and also giving it a new line. It just means we'll go into each of them in more detail also later. But just so you know, this is sort of the basics of it. Furthermore, note that there is let me go into more detail. So the operator that you see, it's the two angular brackets. Can anybody tell me if they have encountered this operator before?
In Bash scripting, this is
Mhm.
read from file,
Right, read from file.
read from
Also,
stream, read from
right,
stream. Hmm.
read from stream, exactly. Also, it means appending, right? So let's say you have a file, you're giving it a stream of text or something. It means appending to the end of the file also, right?
Hmm.
So that's sort of the idea. Okay. Uh, Again, this is sort of true, okay? But you guys must have encountered this in bit shift operation also, right? Like let's say I want to left shift bits or right shift bits. You must have encountered this double angular
Yes.
brackets, right? So
Hmm.
the
Exclusion brackets?
yeah, yeah, that's correct. I don't know the if that's what they are called, but yeah, sort of the same idea. It's essentially the left shifting or right shifting. Yes. You guys have questions? I see raised hands.
Sir, this IO
Mhm,
stream include is saying that I must specify where I
mhm,
want, like from where I want to include. So how to
mhm.
do that?
I didn't get you. So IOStream has a set of functions. So IOStream is also part of the standard template library, STL library. Okay, and IOStream itself has certain functions, collection of functions. To use those functions, you include the IOStream header file and then access them
Ye-
using this. That's all. That's
Yes,
all. Yeah.
that's okay, but
Mm.
like it's showing that error. Okay, I'll check that. I'll tell you later.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Please, one thing I'll say is please mute yourself unless you are have questions and you're asking. Okay. All right. Yeah. You guys, Praveen and Hemasri, you have questions? You have raised hands. Okay. Maybe I'll just continue. Right. Okay. So this is a basic standard C out C world. Okay. And there are some other data types you should definitely know about. These are inbuilt data types. So integer. So let's say I define an integer a. Let's say this is 5. Okay, or 6. Okay. You can have double like so int as the name suggests, it is used to represent store integers. Okay. Yeah. It is used to store integers. Double b, which will uh, all right. Let's say I have a number called 7.5. So this is a floating point number, as in a real number. It is real numbers are also called floating point numbers because these are used. The real numbers are represented in the floating point representation on computers. Okay, so a certain data type which can store these floating point numbers is a double. You can also have float. The difference being that doubles are used to store 64-bit numbers. Okay, and floats in general. Again, this is in general. floats are used to store 32-bit numbers. The difference in the representation, again, this is a standard by IEEE 754. Feel free to, I won't go into details how the numbers are stored and everything. You guys can definitely feel free to read up online or whatever resources you guys find comfortable. But this is essential idea. Just remember that floats usually, again, are used to store 32-bit numbers, floating point numbers. Doubles are used to for 64-bit numbers. Integer, again, usually is for 32 bits, right? And you can have int 64s, which will store the 64-bit integers. All right, these are some of the inbuilt data types that people encounter, and also you have bools. Oh, sorry.
Doubles are for?
Doubles are for FP64, so floating point 64-bit real numbers to represent real numbers, but using the 64-bit precision. You can have even high precisions depending on the implementation. There are ways to
Like
do
getting
that.
more number of digits after decimal?
In a way. So it actually store the numbers are stored in bits, okay? But the seeing the same representation in binary, and when we visualize the same thing in a decimal representation, the sort of equivalent thing is basically yes, that you get more digits. Yeah. So think of when I say 32-bit or 64-bit, it is the zeros and ones for the same number. Let's say 7.5. It's a very small number, but let's say it was some 10 billion, 100,000, something, something, a huge number or something like that. Okay. Dot with a huge string of 7564, something, something. So when you have very large numbers, whatever bit, okay, is it will be it a 7.5, the number, or a very large number. Okay. In either way, when it gets represented by computers, well, again, what we have been dealing with are use binaries. So they will be stored in zeros and ones. Now, how does the zeros and depending on you're using double or float, they will be represented in 32 zeros and ones or 64 zeros and ones. Naturally, having 64 zeros and ones gives you more leeway in how you want to represent these numbers, right? Definitely naturally one would think about that. Now the difference is in the representation and how these numbers are represented. Yeah, again, I'm not going to cover it, but feel free to read up on this. How are numbers represented? Like this is the floating point standard. Okay, how numbers are represented, be it in 32 bits, be it in 64 bits, and furthermore, if you are following the modern architectures, there are newer forms of representations which will be this AP16, AP8 even. Okay, these are floating point representations. Even TF32, which is a tensor float, and there is also brain floating point numbers, which is called BF16 and all. Okay, so uh, in modern architectures like of GPUs, especially, be it from the vendors, right, NVIDIA, AMD, or Intel, they are moving to even not just classical GPUs. You have like AI accelerators, right? So they have been going into lower and lesser precision numbers and using not the standard FP64 or FP32, but they will be they have this hardware, right, just for TF32 or BF16. So you can also read up on them, how these numbers are present, how numbers are represented in these representations. Essentially, the idea is the same. It's still zeros and ones, but how many digits they use in total and how these digits are used to represent the number. Okay, that's the only difference. All right, and moving on. So we have bools. So let's say a bool B. Oh, sorry, I can't use B. So C, let's say, which is let's say true. So these are some of the basic data types. Again, these are inbuilt data types. You can have custom data types, which will come to soon. Those are classes. Okay, so these are user-defined data types. So those classes have a lot of features, and we'll be covering each of them. All right. Essentially that. Yeah. You can also do some basic operations. Let's say I define integer d. Okay, and uh, use a and add let's say 9 to it or something. There are some very basic operations. Just remember that C++ is a very strongly typed language. So let's say you define variable, you have to define its data type. All right. So if I say if I want to use a as an integer, I have to specifically say that a is an integer. Okay. If I want to use b as a floating point number, I have to mention its data type, be it float or double. Okay. All right. And then you can do operations like this. Yeah. Moving on. Yeah. Another thing, you might be familiar with for loops. So I'll just write a very simple loop. You might have seen these again and again, maybe in C and maybe in C++ courses also. But just to be clear, with everybody on the same page, I'll write a loop which moves till, let's say, 10. Okay. And you might have seen this operator, I++. Okay. And let's say this just does a very naive thing where it just prints hello world that many times. All right. So all right. Yeah. I should actually just start printing stuff. Oh, sorry for that. Yeah. So yeah, don't mind the autocomplete. I will just go with hello world. Yeah. You might see this line frequently now. So what we're essentially doing is we wrote the code, yes, but we want to compile and actually run it, right? So I'll be using the G++ compiler from the GCC collection, right? And the version of GCC I have by default supports C till C++ 17. Okay, like at least, right? So, but then again, if your compiler by default does not support, but actually has those features, you can enable, like explicitly enable them, right? By using this flag. So we haven't used any features of C++ 17 yet, but then again, so that you guys don't get compilation issues and some not familiar expressions which are using some features, you can always use this you can always use this flag to enable those. Okay. So essentially this compilation flag, what it does is you call the compiler. Again, this is in path, so you don't need to mention the complete path name. Okay. You can just call G++. And here I'm in this path currently where the code is written, right? So for this, the other parameters that you pass, okay, or you can say think of flags, is like -o. It means it's the output. What will be the compiled output name? I'm just calling it as out. All right, and then the other flags you pass again. Double when you have double hyphens, it's usually like more verbose. Okay, so as in I want to explicitly say that C++ standard, right? You could write it as hyphen out, like, or depends. It depends on how the uh, compiled binary you're using. Here the compiled binary is G++. Okay. There are short form notations, there are long form notations. So short form notation here is just hyphen o. The long form uses the double hyphen. Okay, that's the only difference. But both of them actually just pass the parameters. Okay, or flags you can say. Just a second. Yeah. Okay.
How to con-
Yeah, so what I'll be doing is just use VS Code for everything, even comments and running things. So I'll again, you don't need to worry about taking notes as in writing the code itself. I'll be sharing the codes with you with a Google Drive link, and the lectures themselves will be recorded and uploaded on YouTube. So feel free to listen from them also, right? I'll just quickly see if there is. Yeah, exactly. That's a good question. Why the difference between I coming to that? Yeah. Sorry, there's a question. If yeah, okay, yes. All right, all right. Yeah. So let's okay, us coming to this. So this is the second parameter that we pass, and finally you give the file that you're trying to compile. So this will be hello.cpp for us. Okay. Let's press enter and wait for it. Yeah, it successfully compiled it. Okay, so there is no errors. We didn't get anything weird thing. Okay, this is fine. This is absolutely fine and compiled. Then after that, so because dot out was, so if you see here, I didn't have this created in before. Now I have this out file binary created. So to access to run this, so you just do dot slash out. Okay, just run it, and you see the output. It prints hello world. Uh, it should be 11 times because there's once here. I'll comment this line first and then show you guys. Yeah, so compile. And because I want to run it again also, so what I will do is combine those two lines. The first is the compilation, and the second line which I used to run with a double ampersand. Okay, so on terminals, you can, any terminal of your choice. I'm using ZSH terminal here because I'm on a Mac system. You guys can feel free to use Bash or Fish or CSH, anything of your choice. Okay. Even Windows, you can use command or PowerShell. Absolutely, anything is fine. Right. So to combine these two lines, I use the double ampersand. Okay. So essentially, it means that first do this, and after that, run this line. Okay. So I'm just combining the running and the compilation both together. So it prints hello world once because this is what we have here. And later on, what we add is the for loop line where we have the for loop, as in how many times it has to iterate, the starting variable initialization, and then the increment. Okay, and then the standard hello world. Okay, so prints 10 times. Okay, but like I think that's straightforward. Again, question always comes: what's the difference between this I plus plus or plus plus I? And again, the usage in the for loop absolutely depends on you. Okay, there is no there's nothing like right or wrong. Okay, but mind you, there's a difference in specifically in between these two, but it does not matter in the loop. I'll explain more. Okay, so let's say I define integer 0. Okay, and I also define j plus plus. Okay, let me print standards, sorry, and see out. Okay, let me print j, the j variable. Okay, I'll be printing j before, okay, before incrementation, and then after. All right, let's not worry about the hello world right now, filling the screen. So the yeah, this that's the first hello world. That's okay. The first j is set to 0. Okay, so that's what it gets printed. Okay, good. That's what we're getting. After that, j plus plus, you try to print j, it gives 1. Okay, that's good. What if instead of this, I do plus plus j? Okay, then what? It's just the difference in the two cases is that anyway it was initialized, we printed. Now the only difference is that we are doing incrementation and then printing, but the incrementation is post or pre. Okay, is it on the right side of 2j or to the left side? Right, let's print that. So again, you see it's 0 and 1. So the incrementation itself is the same, as in j plus plus or plus plus j both increment the variable by 1. Okay, there's no difference in that. That is perfectly fine. But let's say now what we'll do is we'll change the variable. Let's say k, and yeah, let me store the increment, right, and in j, and start printing that itself. Okay, let's see. So j was 0 first, and after incrementing, yes, it is 1, sure, but the return of the increment is 0. Okay, this is a note. Please do make a note of this. And same thing. Okay, but this time we'll have the plus plus here, and uh, comment this and print. It is 1. Notice the difference when plus plus is on the right side. Okay, so the post increment, the return to of that operation to k, okay, is 0 in the post increment, and in the return for plus plus in the when it's pre increment, okay, it is 1. So the difference is that the increment of for j happens to be j plus 1, okay, in both the cases. That is absolutely true. That's common. That's correct. But the difference is that the return of the operation is which value? Is it the original value or is the incremented value? Okay. So in this original case, it is the original value. In this case, it is the incremented value. So now coming to this original example, okay. So if you see here, we're not exactly incrementing, and we are
Sir,
incrementing, but we're not.
in
Yeah,
sir,
yeah. Go ahead.
in line 19, there is a
Mm.
j within a double quotes and another j without quotes. So there is a what is the difference between that double quotes and the single quote without j, sir?
Oh, okay. So when I use double quotes, it is used as a string, which means that uh, this is printed as such. Okay. Here j is a variable used from the code. So j here is used as an integer which has the 0. Okay. So let's
Could
say
I
I
replace
change.
j, sir?
Yeah, you can. Let's say I replace j with I comment everything else. Think like
No,
this
no, sir. No,
portion. Yeah,
in the behalf of no data
let me
type.
yeah, let me show you. So let's say I comment all this. This does not exist, and I compile and print. It will print I equals to 0. Why did it print I? Is the only reason is that it's just a text I. Here I does not mean anything, or j does not mean as such anything. It's just that I want to say to the output that I want it to be printed as what is the value of j. I could actually be more verbose and say value of j here, okay, and give the colon or not give the space up, like absolutely both are fine, okay, all right. So I can just do this and it will say value of j, okay, that's it. That's just the text, okay. Yeah, so coming back to here, what I'm mentioning here is if you use I plus plus or plus plus I, in either way, the increment for I will be done for every for loop. That's absolutely correct in either way. But because you're not returning this I plus plus and storing it in anything, it's absolutely fine to use plus plus I or I plus plus. At that point, whatever you use is just a matter of personal convention, or the convention of the code base you're working with. Okay. I personally like I plus plus. Again, uh, everyone differs. So yeah, that's the point about I plus plus. I guess there was a question in chat. I just glanced over. Okay, so that's should take care of why is one preferred or there's no uh, preference as such. You can use either. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I hope this example clears that. And okay, so let me cover the next thing. Okay.
Sir,
So what
as
I
you are
yeah.
starting from the first line that has include
Yeah.
angular bracket and same thing is repeated with the double quotes in within iOS stream, sir. So, sir, could you
Yeah.
repeat, sir, why we are using
Why?
the double quotes in iOS stream,
Right.
sir?
Right. Yeah, you can actually do this way also. That's not a problem. The only reason people, so you might see codes with this, and you might see code bases with this also. The main reason the main reason actually to distinguish. So I'll say why. Um, I'll give it. Let's pause it here. I'll give one example and then use it in again here. Okay. Let's say I have a void function which is add. Okay. It takes input A. It takes input B. Let's not call it void because I want to return it. Let me call it as a integer. Then standard cout, okay, will be something C, okay. No, I want to print it outside. I'll just add it here. So what I'll do is return. Okay, I'll show you both ways also. I'll define a new integer C, okay, which is a plus b, all right, and return C. You can do it in this way also. Return. You don't need to create a temporary variable yourself because the uh, compiler will also do it for you. So you can just do a plus b. Okay. Instead of these two lines, you can just have a single line. You can combine them. Okay. Both are valid. Okay. So let me just comment this. Okay. So the add function, it returns a plus b. Let's do that. We'll call another integer. Let's say add number. So let's call it A, B, C, D. So let's call it E with the add function and pass two variables. Okay. So we have J and A. So let's pass those two. So the sum of these two numbers will get passed here and stored in E. Okay. And I think we can see what the output will be. So this. Anyway, for completion, let's just print that. Okay. E is 7 because J is 0. So the addition of them is 7. So this is something again a basic function. A basic feature of C and C++ using functions. You define a structure, okay, a sort of again these are called functions. So a sort of a reusable stuff. Okay, here is the add function where it takes two variables of both data types integer, okay, A and B, and returns their sum. Very simple. The reason to use functions is you don't want to write the code again and again. Again, this is a very simple code where it's just an addition, but let's say you had a lot of text inside this body, okay? Anything within this curly brackets is the body of the function. And when you have a large code where you have to where you want to actually just reuse this body again and again, okay? In those cases, you write functions and reuse them. Now, this function again has a data type. It could be returning something. Here it returns integer, so it has to have a data type here, or it could be void functions where there is no return as such. Okay, simple. I hope people are familiar with functions. Again, just recapping so that everybody is on the same page. Now the thing is, function here has two parts. One is the declaration, okay, and with the body is the definition of the function. Header files, again, coming back to the question that was asked before, header files actually have the definition of the function. Okay, so that declaration of the function. So the definition as such with the body, okay, you can have it in a separate file. Okay, you can have it in the separate in the header file itself. Also, that's also absolutely okay. But sometimes it is preferable to have just the definition, okay, in a separate file and declaration in separate files. I'll show what it means. So let me create the file called uh, yeah, integer add, okay, integer uh, integer b, here a. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, so I just declared integer add with integer a and b, okay, and I will save this as add dot h. So this is the header file which includes this function, okay, right? Now this portion just means that it has the uh, the declaration of add existing. Okay, the definition The definition could be, sorry, just, yeah, I might meet you guys if there's some uh, other noises. Okay, so yeah, unless you guys have questions, please mute yourself. Okay, like, then you can also do this. So integer add, okay, integer a, integer b, and this time you actually have the body, which is this. Okay, and here to use this function, I'll just comment this again. So remember, whenever I comment anything, think like that code does not exist in uh, the code. Okay, so compiler will see this text and just ignore it. Think of that way. Okay, let me just save that again. This time I can call it add.cpp. Now you have to be careful here.
Stop.
Hmm?
Please check.
Sorry.
I think recording is stopped. It's saying that recording and transcription have it stopped.
It is still running for me.
Okay, it was a pop-up there, so I just told you. Sir, I have
Okay.
a doubt
Mhm.
regarding these headers.
Mhm.
So, the thing these header do, like we put declarations in header, right? Only declarations, not definition.
That is a convention. You just put declarations. You don't put definition, but it is possible that you just put actually, yeah, that's the thing. There is actually nothing stopping you from putting both together. So for example, this example, what I was going to show you, imagine that this add.cpp does not exist and I put everything in the header file like this. Absolutely okay.
Hmm.
So what I then do is use hash include, but this time I cannot use the angular brackets because I want to
Yeah.
include a header file which is in the current directory. So angular brackets do
Hmm.
not search in the current directory. So if you have quotes, then they do. Again, outstream is not the one we are trying to include, so I'll use add.h. So you see, it actually found it also,
And-
right? So the
Okay. One more thing.
add.h,
Hmm.
yeah. So the add.h is actually gets added because it's in the current directory, and to include it, I
Hmm.
used double quotes. Okay. Now the
Okay.
add.h itself has the body also, the declaration. Okay.
Hmm.
Absolutely okay. So these are header files where the complete definition and declaration, both of them are together. Ideally, yes, I could rename it as add.cpp2. Nothing stops me. Yes, I can do
Hmm.
that also. I can do this way and use this. So I'll include it not .h but .cpp. Absolutely fine.
Okay.
Both of them will
Yeah.
work because I don't have the add function, but I am trying to use the add function, which is included in the header file. Yeah.
Hmm. So this
But mhm,
pre-processing is
yeah,
like just copy paste or something like that. It
exactly.
doesn't care about
Exactly.
tags and extensions,
It does
all those
not.
things. It's just
Nothing.
copy paste.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
The reason to show you guys this is that extensions as such don't really matter. It's just a convention to distinguish that this is a file in general. I'll be having my declarations in this and definitions in header. Again, this is a general convention, but nothing stops you from having a header only file which has the both, and you're including left and right just header files and not you're including even CP files also. Absolutely okay. Yeah. The the way to think about this is that you have like it says preprocessor. By the name itself, it should like it should be there in a mind that this is even before the compilation that happens. Which means if I have a text or some kind of code in add.cpp or something which will throw compilation error, okay, that will happen after the pre-processing step only. Preprocessor just takes the code, copy pastes this. It does not care what is actually written. Okay. When the compiler actually compiles, that step it checks for syntax error and other things and so forth. Okay. All right. Clear so far? Oh yeah, if defs, right. So
Sir,
if defs, yeah, elaborate on that and why this
sir,
will be
I
high.
want,
Yeah, sure. Huh.
sir, I wanted to ask that if a header file has multiple functions, so if
Mhm.
I wanted to add only specific
You
function,
can't.
I
You
have to
can't. You
include.
can't. No, you
We
can't.
can't.
No. So so there are only two ways. You either delete that function or you write a new file with only the function that you want to include.
Oh,
When you
okay, sir.
include a header file, it includes everything there. You can't choose there. No.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah. So this can actually okay, I think anyway I was going to talk about new namespaces. Let's connect there. Let's say I have a header file which has add. Good. Let's say I have another header file. This header file includes a function add. This has had add, right? What if I have this function also? This has the same definition, everything. Let's try to compile. I have add.cpp. Okay. Ignore for once that. Okay. This again a passing comment. So let's say you have add.h, which has a definition, and you included add.h here, but you never included the body. The body of it with the function is in add.cpp. So you have to, while compilation, just add .cpp also here. Okay, because the header file is already included. Now, what will actually happen is the compiler, your compilation should include both the CPP files. It will compile hello.cpp. It will see that the hello.h gets included, which has the header, which has the declaration of add function. Okay, so this will compile it separately. It will compile this separately. Okay, then merge them together into the output. This is very general practice, what people do. Okay, again, just a passing comment. Now coming back to this new example, let's think that there is no add.h, we just have add.cpp, and add.cpp is what I'm going to use. But you see there's a problem. Add.cpp has an add function. Okay, it returns a plus b. I have another add function here. Let's say I'll use this definition, different body. Now let's try to compile them. Good, that's the expected error. Now, what you're trying to do is essentially a redefinition. So add.cpp basically takes this, copy pastes it here instead of this line. Instead of line 2, it gets copy pasted. And again, your compiler sees that you are redefining add function with the same data type, return type. You're not overloading. We'll come to overloading, but you're not specializing it. Okay, you're not even overloading it or anything. We'll come to these terms, but again, what I'm trying to get at is your add function has the same name, same data type returns, same inputs, exactly the same. Okay, that is not allowed. You can have different bodies, but again, it has to have different parameters input taken, or it has to have different data types. If everything is same, you cannot redefine your function to be something else. Okay, this is not allowed. So it sees two different ways of defining the same function. Again, throws the error. So to get rid of such errors, okay, and let's say you are actually including a header file, as someone asked, it has a lot of functions. Okay, I want to include only specific functions of them. Okay, there are only two ways. Either you write all those functions in a separate file and include those, or you just don't include that file. Yeah, or make sure that you delete these functions here. Okay, one of those. Other way to deal with this is there's another way. Let me include this here, and there is add function here, so I'll just delete this. Okay, what I will do is I'll create a namespace. Okay, let me call that I'll connect the namespace there also. Okay, so let me call that as custom namespace. Uh, this so I'm using a sort of note naming convention which is called the camel case. Well, again, maybe not exactly camel case, where the first is small and the subsequent names are capital. You can follow your own convention, but again, this is a convention that I'm following for the rest of the sessions. Okay, right. So I'll include the complete add function inside this namespace. Okay, I changed nothing. I had this original add.cpp. I changed my add function here to a different namespace, and yeah, that's it. And this original add functions exists here. Now let's see. I'll compile. Okay, great. It compiled fine, didn't throw an error, and ran all this together too. So what did just happen? Okay. Now remember, whenever a function exists, okay, this is in the global namespace. So anything before main is actually in the global namespace, meaning this function is has its own sorry. This function has its own return type. It has its own parameters and everything, but there is a namespace in general. Even if you don't actually give it a namespace, it's called the global namespace. What we did is we just went a little higher level in a way, where we defined this custom definition of this add.cpp inside this custom namespace. So now, if I want to access this custom namespace, okay, function, I can just do this. So the double colon actually just means that it's a namespace. Okay, the custom namespace is here. I'm accessing that add function from that namespace and just passing the same values. I can print the same thing also, absolutely fine. And it will print the same thing, yes. Yeah, so both print 7. The difference is that I'm accessing a function. About what I want you to appreciate here is that I'm not just adding some simple numbers here. Okay, yes, that is the example, sure. But what the important takeaway here is that I'll access functions which is in a different namespace itself. Yeah, exactly. I'm good that people are following with questions, because that's what is the takeaway. So what's the difference between the standard and custom namespace, right? Again, that is the segue I want to make to namespaces now.
Sir,
Yeah.
can we nest namespaces also? Like a
Yes,
namespace inside another namespace,
absolutely. Yeah,
not
yeah,
global.
yeah, you can. So I'll call it namespace 1, namespace 2, namespace 3, okay, and end them appropriately. So obviously I can't, if I try to compile this guy, I should get an error. Let's get that error first. Yes, I got the error. Now I have to use this namespaces. So yeah, it will look little horrible, but that's okay. You can absolutely do this. But to access them, you just have to keep them in sequence. That's all. This is absolutely allowed. Yeah, it will print 7. Okay, so you can nest namespaces. Absolutely, yes. Now, let's keep it little simple for now. Okay, and go ahead. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'll come to if defs. Yes. Uh, so first of all, notice something here. Because of the nice coloring of VS Code, so this is in green. This is also in green, standard. So I think you guys can relate. So the custom namespace is essentially what we defined, right? Similarly, like very similarly, standard is also a namespace. So these functions themselves are also inside some namespace. So to distinguish the cout here, which is in this standard, and let's say I have my own cout. Yeah, I know nobody wants to have couts as integers which subtract numbers, but here I'm going to do it. So integer a, integer b, okay. Return a minus b. Yeah. Again, the question might come, why do we want a cout which subtracts two numbers? Because why not? So let's say I want that to happen, and I'm storing a number in G, which is cout, okay. And takes, let's say, 4 and 9. Sure. To use this cout, I need to give the corresponding namespace, because we'll throw an error, because cout is not in the global scope. Yes, it's there in the standard namespace scope, okay, or in the custom namespace scope. So which is the one we want to actually explicitly use? We have to mention that to the code. Okay. So using the custom namespace, absolutely okay. It uses it. It prints. Oh, I did not. I'm sorry about that. I did not print G. Okay. Prints -5.
Sir,
Okay.
can
Yeah.
you show the
Just a second.
pre-processed output?
Yeah. Just a second. So so this is what the idea behind this namespace is, because I want to use a cout. Okay. I don't want my compiler to get confused. Again, if it gets confused, it will shout at you like here. Okay. Like what it did. It will very much let you know that, yeah, it's confused. So please unconfuse me. So again, this is the reason using namespace standard. You might have seen this a lot of times. Namespace, let's say std, sorry, and you end the line. What this enables you to do is access all these functions. Let's say if you're using something directly, right? Cout, endl, it will automatically search in namespace standard and use it. If you use add function, obviously you don't need to give a namespace, like we did not do it here. But then it actually creates conflicts. Let's say if I have cout here, not in some namespace, but in a global space, yeah, then how will your code know which to use? So let's say I do this way. So you're using namespace standard and calling cout, and it'll get confused. It does not have any concept of left shift operator. Okay, I did not complete the left shift operator. Okay, I'll come to that, and I'll come to the if defs also. Yes. So the left shift operator is not written for cout. It actually, again, yeah, I understand this does not look like it's taking inputs where functions usually are called this way, right? So add, then you have brackets, parenthesis, which takes inputs. Absolutely, yes. This is the standard definition, syntax, whatever you want to call it, for functions. Yes, absolutely. But trust me when I tell you this is also a function. It just so happens that the way of calling this function uses this left shift operator. Okay. I'll come into more detail. But yeah, here I'm telling you, just trust me. Now, what I'm trying to get at here is there is a cout. Yes, it uses it. It's supposed to take function inputs like this. So it is actually expecting something like this. If we're trying to call this cout, which is in the global space, but if you use namespace standard like this, you actually don't need to use standard name with a name like this, and you can directly call the function. You see the problem here? Then which function of cout does it use? The compiler. It gets confused. That's what happened. Okay. In such, to actually really avoid these cases, it is really not recommended to use using the namespace. Okay. Yes, your code might look longer with the actual namespace, right? But in general, this is general practice in programming. Clear is more important. Okay. Don't take shortcuts just because your code will look shorter or something. In the long run, it is better to have clearer code. And anyway, you don't get anything from performance perspective anyway. So yeah, there you go. Okay, so this I hope clears the idea. Yeah, I'll come to the left shift and the if defs. Yes, before that there was a question. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying, can you just show the pre-processed output of this file?
Pre-process. Okay, that is difficult.
No,
That's
it's
actually
this minus
hmm,
E flag in compilation.
compilation. Okay,
Yeah, a minus E and then output to a file. Minus capital E, big E.
capitally. Okay,
Minus capital E and output to a file.
let's call that pre-process. Text should come up. Okay,
Mm,
it did not.
uh,
did not
Okay,
throw
I
any
guess.
errors. Yeah, it did not throw any errors, so I think it's a valid flag. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's working for me actually. I think the way
Mm.
you put this minus O and other flags, it is interrupting. But okay.
It's
Um,
possible this is a different flag for different compilers, but I'll just compare. Yeah, it does pre-process. Let's see. Then again, my G. Okay, I'll show this actually. So the G++ I'm using is actually yeah, it's actually the Clang version. Okay, so yeah, it's maybe not the G++ that you might be using. So
okay,
okay,
okay, no problem.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, all right. All right. So yeah, we have the error, which is good. We have the C out. That's fine. Anything else that we have to worry about? Yeah, we have to worry about this guy. So yeah, I hope you guys understand the difference. Using namespace standard, yes. In a region, you can actually do this. In a region where you don't want, and you have, let's say you have very long namespaces, and in a region you want to avoid writing the namespaces too many times, like we had here, right? We had three namespaces, three nested namespaces with custom namespace. So in that case, you can, for a region, what you can then just do is get a scope, okay, like this. Yeah, using namespace this, say one, this, okay. All this with, let's say 1, 2, 3. Again, I'm assuming that, imagine I'm not going to write it there. So assuming that you have custom namespace 1, 2 nested already for the add function, just use that function. Yeah. Then yeah, obviously you'll have an issue here, which add function is actually calling, but yeah, let's say there was no name collision that happens. Oh, this is called name collision, but we faced with C out here. So imagine that that is not the case, as in that is not something you have to worry about. So you can use a namespace inside some scope. Okay. Now the beauty about this scope is that it will keep the certain definitions like this inside that region of your code, and this has a lot of implications, which I'm not going to go too much depth right now because we'll be doing that later on. Okay, now coming to the left fit operator and the if defs. I'll come to the if def now. Yes, there was an answer there, which if defs are used for only included once and avoid certain errors. Yes, that's actually one of the most important use cases for if defs. Okay, we will be covering macros later on, but yeah, I guess I can talk about a bit more here. What I want to emphasize is that macros like if defs, that's not the only reason they are used. Yes, of course, that's one of the reasons you don't include header files. You don't have name collisions like what we just had here. Let's say I include this definition. Okay, it's there in add.h. Let's say there's another file. Okay, so I'll call same add.h, but it's there in name it mm, subtract.h, subtract.cpp. Oh no, let's call it or add. Yeah, let's call it subtract. Why not? I want to include, and let's assume there's a lot of other code also. Okay. Sorry for that. Yeah, lot of code. Okay, there's a lot of code here, and also this also gets included. Now there's a small problem. Problem is that this add function in subtract.h, and there's a don't let's ignore add.cp for now. This add definition in subtract.h, and this add definition inside add.h, and I want to include both of them. There's a name collision that will happen. Okay, because subtract. dot h. Now this is that which is not good, right? So in this case, uh, how to avoid this, right? So these definitions, so that it gets included only once, one uses if defs. So something like this. I'll just give an example how if defs are used to protect redefinition of header files, or like redefinition of functions actually. So if def, okay, I forget. I think the end is end if. Yeah, I think hash end if. Yeah. If something is defined, then define it. I think you guys can see the syntax. I don't clearly remember, but oh yeah, I'm going to share the course. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll share all the files with every week, whatever we code. Okay. So this I think I can mention. Oh, yeah, okay, I'll make a full. This will be week 1. Okay. And then we'll put all the codes inside it. Yeah. We'll be sharing a Google Drive link. It should, so you have the access to the NPTEL sheet. NPTEL should provide you a sheet. There you'll get a Google Drive link. So the Drive link, I'll just upload all the codes there. Okay. So yeah, I'll come to this. So let's say again, don't go by the syntax here because I don't exactly remember, but the if def essentially works like this. So yeah, subtract underscore h. So this is again sort of a convention. You can do it anyway. So you define subtract.h and then hash include, not hash include, define, then yeah, is a question. Okay. Yeah.
So I
So the
think
essential,
it's
yeah,
if
yeah.
not defined, then define. It's like that
No,
for
no,
that fact.
no, it's like so the way it works is so if this is not defined yet, then you define. That's
Yeah, yes.
how it, yeah, that's how it
So for
goes.
that
Hmm.
IFN or if not def was there, I think.
No, no, it is with if defs this way. Uh, I maybe can quickly look at the syntax or we turn on Copilot itself. Yeah, these are called guards. That's another name you can search with. So mm, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, that's correct. So what I will do is if not defined, then you define the same header, subtract oh, sorry about that. See, yes. One very important thing you have to be careful here is that the text that you use, okay, uh, macros are very powerful, but they can lead you to very weird errors. So be very careful with what definition that you're using. Generally, it is advised to use capital letters, okay? And for header files, usually we just have underscore h. You can also do this way, something like that. It's absolutely okay. But important thing is that you make sure that it is unique enough that it does not collide. This again, this text itself, which is a macro, does not collide with any other macro which might have been used in some library that you're including. Okay, so again, be very careful while you're dealing with macros. Sorry about the syntax, but essentially this is the idea. You are defining subtract underscore h macro to include this text, okay, and you're including subtract.h subtract dot h here already. Okay. Now, only if it is not defined already. So there's a lot of jugglery we're doing here. Or else you can just do this. Hash pragma once. Simple, plain, old, like I wouldn't say old, but again, simple. And most of the compilers these days, modern compilers, they support this. You just do hash pragma once, include your code like this, like with a lot of code and everything, and just include hash pragma once in the header file. Just don't have to think this here on the top. You can just do hash pragma once. Okay. This will take care of all the includes like namespace collision, whatever issues we could have had. I'll just show you another example. Let's say you want to include, there's a lot of reasons to use if defs and macros. There's another one I'll just show. Hash define add, which takes x, y as functions, and it replaces that with just x plus y. Now, hash define, here is a macro. Okay, so you have to call add, and it's a preprocessor. So it's not, it happens before even compilation. So it could look something like this. So and yeah, I'll put, let's say, numbers 5 and 7. Okay. Here, if you see the after the preprocessor is done, it will look something like this. Actually, you replace add 5 7 with x plus y. It literally takes x and y. It does not care what the data type is. Okay, and replaces it with x plus y. So, for example, I had 7.7. It will replace. So previously, it would have replaced 5 plus 7. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Now it will replace this. Does that give a syntax error or not? The macro does not care. Okay. You will get that syntax error compilation issue if it exists in the compilation step. Okay. Yeah. In this case, it will just do this. Okay. Now, is this valid? Not valid? I'll leave you guys to think about. Okay. What we're doing is defining an integer h, and we're adding 5 and 7.7. Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry for that. Yeah, I did not change namespace. Why I did not add. Sorry about that. Identifier E. Right. Yeah. Oh, this is a good example to showcase. So because of the scope, right, the variables E, F, G were defined inside the scope. And once the scope ends, the scope in this region does not know anything about these variables. Okay. So because of that, I was getting compilation issues when I tried to compile this. Okay, these lines where I'm accessing E, F, G. Okay, right. Okay, that should clear things up. Any other questions? Yeah. So I think another one. Yeah, about this left shade operator. I did forget to tell about that. So there's a reason why this angular brackets are used here. So C out, right? Like I think it was mentioned in before by someone. So it's actually a stream. Okay, think anything in input or output. Okay, so output is from the code or from your uh, program to the terminal. Okay, think of it that way, to the terminal or to the display output or anything. And C in, if I use correspondingly, it will, the syntax will look something like this. Okay, so let's say um, input. Okay, and here I have defined input. Okay, uh, right. So it expects a integer input. All right, where does the input come from? It comes from the terminal, like from your input from your keyboard to the terminal and to your code. So always remember, anything when we say about input or output, it is with respect to your program or your code. Okay, it will help in lot later on when we talk about file IO. Okay, yeah. Why? That's good one. They're called insertion extraction, but why? So I would like to okay, give a perspective here. So think about this is input or output, right? So think of this stream of text, which is hello world here. It's within some quotations, right? Now these are some bits, right? So you're streaming these bits to the output, and this C out can take inputs as string. You can print like we did here. Yeah, this C out, which is overloaded with a chain here, right? It also takes integers. It can take doubles. It can take many other different data types. So because it can take all these data types, it sort of knows which cout to call, right? And print your output seamlessly. So this stream of text, okay, at the end of the day, even if it's integer, if it's double, or if it's a string, it is zeros and ones, right? That's why the shift operators are used, which are generally used for bitwise operations, okay, right? So those are used to, again, I'm using the word overload, okay? We will discuss more what that means, but essentially to connect cout, which is in your display, okay, to all these different types of input, whatever you are chaining, like, okay, in a sequence. All right, yeah, that's the reason these shift operations are used. Again, for cin, it's this right angular brackets. Okay, so yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So this yesterday see out and yesterday see in. So these are pointers, not pointers, sorry. These points to your terminal interface. Now, out will be presented on the terminal and in will take consume from the terminal. Now, when you say hello world and pass that data into cout, so that hello world will be presented on your terminal. And why you moving that input into the C in into the input, because the data will come from input C in and that will transfer to your input
Yeah,
variable. So where
yeah,
you're
that's a
reading
stream.
from and where you storing, that matters. That's why these symbols are in these directions.
Correct, correct, correct. That's absolutely true. The symbols here notify where your stream of data is coming from, or is it going from? Okay, that's essentially the idea. Yeah, that's correct. Okay.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Hmm?
So
Yeah, go ahead.
there is a error or no. So there is a convention that we define this header definition in header declare we declare definition sorry we declare a function in header and then we define it in other files.
Mhm.
So like how it works,
Mhm.
like how the linker uh, do his job
Yeah,
and how the object file are created. Can you like
yeah.
tell something about that?
Okay, yeah. So, uh, like I was giving an example here. So for add.h, right? So let's say I don't include uh, let's say I include add.h, which does not, which just has this line. Okay. But the body of it is there in, let's say there's no namespace business right now. It's just this line. So the function add with its body is present in add.cpp, but its definition, okay, is sorry, the declaration is just there in the add.h. So add.h included here, and because we're using add function here, so our when your code compiles hello.cpp, okay, it should know that this exists as a definition. Okay, it should be defined. It is defined. Okay, if you try to call that function, it might not do anything. Okay, because it actually expects add.cpp to get from some other place. Okay, so same
So,
example, I will just add
sir, just
add.cpp.
change the compilation
So
flag and
mm,
do with -c instead of -o. Do only compilation, not the linker phase.
okay, I'll just explain it in briefly. You can try for yourself. So the idea is that if you try, again, this is for the general audience only. So I'll be including the CP file as in all the files which have the definitions, okay, together. So individually, it will compile all these files into object files and then link them. Again, that is the general idea. But so that this definition exists, and so we include the header file here, like you see, because your hello.cpp here expects some kind of definition here. The body of it will come after the linkage in when we add this add.cpp line, right? Okay, so yeah, you can explore that for yourself. I'm just going to, because we don't have a lot of time left, so
Okay.
yeah,
One more small doubt.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if we include like if we pass one more file here, let's
Mhm.
say um 2.cpp is there, and that also have add definition. So will
Mhm.
that produce error? Uh, so we have header which have declaration,
Sorry,
and
repeat that.
we have two files which define add
Mhm.
with the same signature.
Oh yeah, that's not possible. That's not allowed. So let's say the signature is like add with the return data type integer, return input data types are integer. It can't be in the
Hmm.
name. If it's in the different namespace, okay, that's fine. But in the same namespace, let's say which is the global namespace, or is it the custom namespace, that is not allowed. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because initially at the start of the class, the people had a lot of questions, so I'd like to take those now. You can try the linkage and other things for your own. This is just a general idea that, again, I'll reiterate. You can have different files compiled individually and then linked. The only thing they should have is that while linking, if there is a function that is used from another file to here in this file, you can directly include it using and protect the name collisions appropriately. Okay. If you do all that, or you use them in header files with just the definition, okay, the body of it can be got after the linkage. Either way, there are a lot of ways of writing the same code, but just know that you're familiar with all the procedures so that you don't actually start get confused with debugging when you get into it. Okay, but I'll take questions. So hopefully I cleared most of the. I don't know. It should have a brief idea about what the course is about. What are the certain topics that we'll be covering? How the course, the how the this session will keep going. It's mostly this way. This is sort of the idea. I'll go to start. People had questions, so you can, if you had question that you were asking before, and I was not able to get, you can just directly ask me right now. That's also fine. Yeah. So I'll just keep reading questions and then ask and then answer them. So you can put your questions in the chat or directly just answer. Yeah. Yeah. So linker, yes, that's correct. Linker is essentially the so okay. When you have definitions like this, right? So integer with add function with integer return and input taken as two integers. Think of this like a symbol. A symbol is associated to this add function in whatever namespace it is. Okay, so corresponding to a namespace, this function with all these functional signatures, okay, a symbol is associated. Now this symbol is created for all these functions. Okay, the linker, what it essentially does is the add function here has a symbol. Its body is in some other function. It will compile hello.cpp with a symbol. It will compile add.cpp with a function and then see that this body exists in this add header file. So that's the job of the linker. Linker will link these two files. Okay. Yeah, the recording will be available too. Yeah. So again, with the YouTube link, April should share it with you guys for that. Yeah, feature of Municipal reduces code length the most. Again, there is no special feature which reduces the code length as such, but then again, if you want to write short code, technically speaking, you can write everything in a single line. Well, in a way. So yeah, there is no reason that your code should have more lines. So in that sense, you can write everything, all this code that I showed today. Technically speaking, you can write everything in a single line. Yes, even including the hash includes. Yeah. The semicolon operator, correct? It separates code lines, right? But what about hash pragmas? Use the slash operator to say that this is in a different new line for it. Okay. So after every hash includes all the pragma or the preprocessor lines, you can add a hash. You can add a called the backslash. Yeah, you can just add the backslash and start with your integer main function. You can write all the body of the function in the same line. Again, start the next function. You can keep going. All right. Start the questions. Yeah,
Sir.
yeah. Go ahead.
So for this course, before this class, I was trying to learn C. Just starting there. So when
Go
I
ahead.
was doing this input taking there, and it was quite hard using that function scanf. So do
Yeah,
we use it here also, or
right.
like in exam, do they ask question about it?
So the thing is, scanf and other printf functions like those are C++ constructs. Okay. So
See.
technically speaking, yeah, it's C. Sorry, C. I meant C. So there are C constructs. So technically speaking, yes, you can use C constructs inside C++. There's nothing stopping you, but as such, whatever the functionality you get, as in by that I mean if I just want input and output of variables, right, and text, absolutely not required. Yes, you can do away with them and just use C in and C outs in principle. What I'm saying, yeah, nothing stopping you from using them in course, in this course or the exams or whatever. Again, nothing stopping you, but then again, not required. Yeah, this is just
What about the
about first.
exams? Like, will they ask questions about the C
Yeah,
features which
right.
are?
So about that, I can answer it the same way, which will be, I think I'll be repeating a lot. I'm not going to make the questions, so you should ask the actual TAs who will be studying the questions. Okay.
Okay, but like you have seen the question of previous exam, like previous term or previous.
No,
No. Okay.
no,
Okay.
yeah, I don't set the questions. No, even not the assignments also. I have no idea about the assignment questions. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Uh, questions again. I won't leave you hanging there. Sorry. But if you have questions, pertaining to specific questions to exams, assignments, like if you had problems, okay, this is the assignment I did not get, or whatever other things. Okay, you can ask the direct yes. So there is, I think, Google forum or something, Google groups, right? You can join that and ask questions there. Again, this
Okay.
should be shared by you, shared with you by NPTEL, or just ask the support for that. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, sir.
awesome.
And what? So this course when I started,
Mhm,
so professor was telling that there is a course that was recorded previous to this called
mhm,
C++ by same professor. And
yeah.
so should I go through that one, or I can start it from here? Like if I know like some basic C, not very much, can
Yeah,
I?
yeah. So you can start. I mean, what I find is that if you have a basic idea of programming itself, and okay, this a prerequisite was also asked. So you do need a prerequisite of some data structures. Okay, so if you know some like I mean, for the course itself, he assumes that you do know some data structures and
Mhm,
some basic programming.
mhm,
While I'll be summarizing. I'll be covering a little bit about certain data structures, but then again, some basic programming is definitely expected. If you don't guys know about basic programming, it's okay. You can I would say you can try for on your own and learn them on the go. But
mhm.
yeah, you do have to put the effort. Yes.
And one more thing,
Mhm,
so about going through this course, should
mhm.
I join the live session first, that is on Monday, and I guess assignments are on which date?
You can check the
Uh,
schedule. Yeah,
it's
but the
it's
way
two.
it works is, yeah, the way it works is you have your sessions. I think the lectures already per week, right?
Hmm,
Which are already available. You can go through the lectures, submit your assignments on time, and while learning each topic per week, you join the live session to clear your doubts. That's the sort of the idea.
so,
So the
like I
idea
should.
of this session, yeah, the idea of this session is to
Hmm,
complement the actual course structure. Yeah,
hmm.
that's the only thing. Yeah.
So I should join after completing the weekly content.
Probably, yeah. I'm not sure how the week is actually structured. So I think the first lecture is done last week, I guess. It started, and this is
Mhm.
the first session. So it's sort of supposed to be the after the class. I'm guessing that is how it should be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a question. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah. There's a question about does modern C++ help in memory management? Yes, absolutely. That's one of the best features of modern C++. We will be covering that probably at the end of the course. I'm sorry about that. It will be towards the end, but it is a really fun and nice feature. To truly appreciate that feature, we need to build up some things for C++, which we will be doing in the subsequent sessions. So each session will keep building up some of the features and be putting them together to see how the modern C++ actually um, helps in memory management. Yeah. Oh, that's actually one of my favorite features of C++. So yeah, that should be interesting. Yeah.
Sir, would we
Yeah.
use
Sir,
STD? Hello, sir.
Sorry. Yeah. Hi.
Sir, would we use STD each and every time whenever we use any C, ECI and C out?
Yeah.
Sir,
So because these are included in the standard namespace, uh, ideally I would see probably you won't be using in most of the practicing codes and other things any library other than standard template library. So you will be including standard template libraries like header files with, let's say, vector, array, IOStream, fstreams, so on and so forth, right? So ideally, yes, you can use using namespace standard like I showed now, and not use
okay, sir.
standard colon colon with the namespace. But again, what I would suggest is use it, man. It's okay. It's fine. It will take longer to type, but that's okay. It's the clarity you get that, okay, I'm using a function from this namespace standard and using this function. So clarity is more important. It is a good practice. It will help you to build that practice. So again, again, depends on you, but that will be my advice for that. Yes, next session is on Monday. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question regarding assignment. It is going
Mhm.
to be provided via Google Form.
Assignments, you can check the website. Again, if you don't have links to website or assignments or link to the Google groups or anything, any of this, post it in the forum, contact the NPTEL support. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Is using macro good? Oh yeah, that's a very tricky question. There are situations that will make it worse. There are situations that actually is necessary. So yeah, example hash C define C as standard. Oh, that's a very bad way of using macro. So in the chat, there is an example where you use hash define C with yeah yeah. So the hash define. So that's another reason why you don't put um, macros names in a very uh, normal way. So I'll actually give an example. So let's say you have seen this whole file, right? So if you have a macro which, okay, so to people who can't see that, I mean, again, this will be like lecture recorded. So uh, in the chat, there was a, sorry about that, def, yeah, hash define. Yeah, definition of something like this was done. Okay, let's say you do this. Okay, so C is defined to be standard C out. Fine. You know what this will do? It will catch every C that is there in this file. Okay, I'll do a control F just so you guys understand. It will replace that with standard C out and then angular bracket, which means integer C here, C is replaced with this text, even this text, even this text. Okay, if it was actually used. The namespace C itself also gets replaced with this. Sorry about that. Yeah, it looks, it's it will look horrible, yes, but debugging something like this will look even horrible. Okay, it'll jumble up names. It will create a lot of problems. But I guess you get the idea. So using macros is not a bad thing per se, but you have to be very careful with what you're redefining a macro as. So it's usually again for this only there's a standard convention that you use only capital letters and you do not use single names like this. You use proper C out definition. So like uh, macro C for C out, something like that. You put underscores and whatever other text characters to actually segregate it from whatever maybe a macro can be. Like maybe it's been defined someplace. Okay. Another way, a nice way of defining macros. Let's say you just check if def. Okay, sorry about that. If def, if your this macro is already defined, okay, you can actually undef it. Okay, right? Then redefine your macro again, and then again just undef it. Something else. Sort of the idea. So and then you define your macro here. Put your code which will use this macro. Okay, here let's say example of your macro. Okay, and then you're done. And just undefine it again so that it does not cause any weird issues later on. This is another way to use macros. Yeah. All right. And yeah, I think I told about this. Should learn. Yeah. Next live class will be next Monday. Yeah. Okay. It's along the weeks. Yeah. Assignments and deadlines for assignments and questions about assignments. Like if you have any uh, question that this is option is wrong or whatever other questions you have, you can redirect them to the other TS in the Google groups or ask support for the link for Google group, how to join, everything. Yeah. Macros can affect comments and strings. Strings, yes. Comments, probably not. I just gave an example that way. Yeah. Strings, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you should. Or just variables. You can look it up. Yeah. Again, that's a good question too. I think strings, it should. Yeah. Comments probably not. It costs a lot of time to process it. Yeah, time is I think the least concern here. As you see, it will cause some really horrible issues. So yeah, maybe just not do that. Hmm. I'll comment all this first now. So that. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the one thing about C++ I'll mention here is uh, again, if I compare with other languages, so the one step is that there's a compilation, which includes a lot of steps like preprocessor, linkage, and everything. But once the compilation is done, and let's say everything, all the strong typing and everything is done, right? So you run the code. If you are just timing the runtime, C++ is pretty fast. Yeah. But compilation, it's possible that just to get that speed of fast, your compilation might be quite large. Okay. We will be covering some more topics like templatization and other things, where your compilation might increase, but your runtime can be very, very fast because of you have already compiled some things which can be called. Okay. So as such, C++ also tries to make the compilation as much as fast as it can, but there is honestly no guarantee that it will be uh, like again the total runtime between compilation and runtime that depends on the user. There is no guarantee that uh, the total sum will be faster in one case than the other. Okay, that you have to, as a developer of the code, okay, writer of the code, you have to think about it. C++ will do its best in both the cases, both the compilation and runtime, because already it did a lot of optimization during the compilation, so it will try to optimize in the runtime. So, but as an end user, okay, you will see the total time, which will be the sum of these two. Again, it really depends on how you write the code. Okay, so you will be seeing a lot of these features in subsequent weeks. And performance-wise, yes, there is a certain how do I put it? There are ways to get around to how do you can actually improve compilations. How do you improve run times? Okay, and usually it's the runtime that's what people care about. So you're looking at some of the features that are true. Okay, uh, just so you know, again to increase compilation speed. So the standard template library is actually technically the way it works is you include the header file. Yes, so the definitions are included. But if you think about it, let's say the add.cpp was previously compiled already, just the object file, the add.o, whichever it gets created. Now, the nice thing is, because I just need to tell my program here hello.cpp, which I'll be compiling, right? I will just make changes to this file, include the add.h to tell that, yeah, the definition, the body of this exists in some other file. You will get it during compilation, so don't worry. And because add.cpp and let's say the 100 other files are already compiled, I just need to compile this file. So speed wise, that's actually one of the reason why only the header files are included and the object files are already existing and you just link to it. This actually happens with IOStream. Okay, so if you think about it, the couts and endl, all these functions are already compiled. Okay, and it exists just out there. You just include the header file. Okay, and if C++ sits down and every time you're compiling hello.cpp, it recompiles the complete GCC library. Yeah, I don't think you'll be having C++, right? You'll be coding it here. So because the standard template library is already pre-compiled, okay, it just links it during the runtime. Sorry, in the linkage time. Okay, the final step of the compilation. And runtime anyway, it's fast because all of it is strongly typed. Okay, it's actually a good reason why the cost cutting, like again, the point was mentioned. So, right, how does the cost reduction happen? You pre-compile the binaries. Okay, so the body of this, like not just add example here, the IOStream, the all the STL libraries, they're already pre-compiled when you install the compiler. Okay. And on this course, you will be able to write again nothing that you can't write C++ right now. You will be able to write C++, but use the modern features of it. Okay. You can always make projects, man. That's yeah, that's nothing stops you. You can look up online. I would definitely encourage look up online. Ask agents also what projects can I build. There are a lot of resources online. I'm sure I don't need to mention any particular one. There are a lot of resources to start building stuff. As such, technical. Oh, I did not include a if statement here. Yeah. End of the day, you just need for loops and if statements. You can create everything from it. So yeah, and some functions. So these are the basic building blocks. You can keep start how do I put yeah building anything from the scratch. Pointers are an advantage in C++. There are a lot of reasons to use pointers, but again, they're like macros. You have to be careful while using them. Oh, nothing like pointers are not secure. It's just that people are not. So, okay, think of it this way. Pointers are very powerful and one has to use them responsibly. Again, the same thing with macros. Like I showed with this example, you can run into very bad issues if you are not careful with what you're writing. Okay. To give more context, again, it's sort of the idea about memory management, how memory is managed in modern C++. We will be covering that in the towards the end of the course. So I'll come back to this again, how security, let's say, is handled there. Yeah. Again, so the answer your question, Vinith, there is it really depends what you're trying to build. What I'll be focusing on is just the modern aspects of C++. If you're trying to build a project which involves other languages too, probably yeah, then you have to run those languages. Again, it depends on the project you're trying to build. Yeah. Okay. So before we end, I'll just try to quickly see if there's any question that was left not unanswered. Java and C++, we choose only one, which is the best. Again, questions like C++ versus Java depends on the project you are building, depends on the code base you're working. So yeah, there is no clear-cut answer there. Yeah. Modern C++ differ in C++? Oh yeah, that question, I'm going through the chat right now. Answer to that question, yeah, we will be covering that in the course itself. I wouldn't say all the features will be covered because there are a lot of features, but the major important ones will be covering in the course. Yeah. And with every new release, they keep adding more features. So yeah, not really possible to cover everything in one course. Okay. Yeah, you can. I don't think there's a restriction, and if you are uh, first year BTech student or just a student or you are in working professional, I don't think there's any restriction in learning. So please go ahead. Will this help in game dev? Yeah, if you are a game developer, yeah, it's definitely useful to learn the language. But think of it this way: it's possible that you might not need to know all the features. Again, it depends on the game engine that you're using. It's possible that you don't need to code a lot. Again, it depends on a lot of factors there. Get data from file. We'll be covering that in one of the sessions. Yeah. File IO is a topic there. Yes. Sources of problems. Yeah, you can get online, man. There are a lot of resources online. You can ask agents. You can Google it. There are a lot of resources. It depends. So the question about that, SD, it depends which development are they doing. If you are a Java developer, probably you won't be using C++. So depends on the project there. I know these answers might seem like, again, depends. Yeah, but it truly is the case that it really depends. If it's a project that includes very where the performance is priority, right? Very low latency and stuff like that. C++ has been battle tested. Okay, so people use that language, and in quickly prototyping stuff, and let's say AIML, right? So people want to quickly prototype stuff, and then the language has gotten popular, so Python is used. But there itself also, some of the hot paths where there are matrix multiplications and stuff like that. So the backend is still written in Fortran or C. Okay. Uh, Practicing, I think VS Code. Yeah, you guys can use any ID you like. That's there. Um, you do not need. I mean, it does help to have C knowledge of C. Yeah. You can use MakeW to install the compiler. Okay, so I'm just going through the questions in the chat. You can use MakeW to install the C++ compiler, and then use that through VS Code. You can do that too. Yeah. Um, uh, you can practice them online. You'll find questions. You can run things locally also. Yeah, or just you can search for online compilers and practice directly in the browser. Okay. Um, right. Learning is essential. It is sort of is. Awesome. Yeah. I don't get your question. Is there anything additional? Uh, from my perspective, oh no, it's nothing. If you just know basics of programming, I'll be covering some of the topics. So essentially, it will be like recap of what your guys are learning in every week. So I don't think anything extra is needed, but I do encourage, do the assignments, do practice a lot. The more you practice in coding, the better you understand. Write the code. Like what I feel is like the how I showed you, right? Writing the code, compiling it, and then actually making the changes. You understand each of the syntax even better. Okay. Um, so there will be a recording in YouTube, and the link should be shared with you guys. Yeah. Sessions. I'm the only one who will be taking this live sessions. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. The recording is currently going on. So after the recording ends, it will be uploaded to YouTube and I will add the link. Okay. Text bigger. Oh, okay, sure. If the texts are smaller, do let me know. I'll increase that next time. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a PhD student in the Department of Computational and Data Sciences at Indian Institute of Science. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll increase the font next time. Yeah, sure. To compile a CPP program, like I showed you, you use G++ or any other compiler line in your terminal, and then you can do like -o or any of the like give any name for the output, and pass you can give the complete name path of your file, and then just compile it. Yeah. Link for which one? Oh, the link for codes. You'll get everything in that Google Sheet. Yeah. Yeah, you'll get all the links in the Google Sheet. Yeah. Questions. C++, you can try installing, like I said, it should come in Linux and Mac. I think it comes already, but you can install particular versions of GCC, Clang, Intel compilers, Microsoft compilers, any of your liking. Yeah. The app I was using is VS Code. Yeah.
Should I use every and each time before beginning the program has included as a stream, sir?
If you want to use input and output functions, which are like cout and cins, then you have to include the header file first and then write a program. Yeah. So now the thing is, you can definitely ask if I include sorry, the hash include IOStream. If I include IOStream everywhere, a lot of programs and then compile, will not that not have name collisions? That's a good point. And internally, the header file takes care of that. You don't have to worry about name collisions from the standard template libraries. Yeah, you don't have to worry. If you include the same header file multiple places, let's say you include IOStream in files A, B, C, D, and you're compiling them together and linking them, yeah, you don't have to worry about that. But if you're writing custom functions, header files by yourself, then do include guards. Okay, so use if defs, if and defs, what we discussed today, or you use hash pragma ones. Yeah. Installing about how to install C++ compiles and others. I definitely encourage, if you guys are facing issues, you can Google online stuff. And I think there's a tutorial uh, of very basics about C++. You can definitely look into it in the NPTEL lectures. Yeah. I don't think I missed any questions so far. I'm just quickly glancing through them. Global variable in C++. Okay, that's one thing I'll just quickly cover. So let's say there is a integer p. Okay, let's say that holds the number 8. To access this, ideally, the best way to do it will be just use this. So use an empty namespace, okay, and then okay, and let's say you want to print this guy, so you can do this print p and then access. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, you do not need to give any namespace. Okay, no name, and then just use double colon. This will help you to access the global variable p. Okay, you can technically define p here also, but be careful. If you use do not use namespace, it will use this variable here because it's in a different name scope, so not a problem. But if you want to access the variable in global namespace, you have to use this the empty namespace. Okay. There was another question. The lecture should actually be available in the website. If you want to do the other lectures in subsequent weeks earlier also, feel free to do that. I think it should all be available in the website, or you can find them in YouTube. Oh yeah, the version of VS Code itself really doesn't matter, but you can feel free to use the latest one always. Yeah, that's not a problem. That is correct. Yeah, the true literal is equivalent to sort of 1. Every false literal is equivalent to 0 or false. And let's say you have some text itself. The text itself will also be sort of considered as 1. Yeah, in a broad sense, anything which is uh, null or 0 or false is considered to be the false category. Everything else is just true. Yeah, that's true in C++. Yeah.
The literals, tokens, and anti-identifiers are used for data types, or there is another term to separate.
So like if you're talking about true and false in Boolean sense, then yeah, then yes, yeah. And question. Just quickly pass over. Oh, so this is the first lecture for week one, like for first, not the lecture, sorry, the first session for week one. So yeah, today's the start. Today, guys. There are other uses of hash if diffs and if and diffs and all. Maybe in some other examples I can show you guys later on. Yeah, I think I covered all the questions. Any other questions? Link on documentation, how to get an exe file from source. Uh, yeah, that's essentially when we say an exe file again, that's an extension. Extensions as such don't really mean anything, but we give them so that to distinguish files, different files. So yeah, that's essentially compilation. You can look up tutorials for that. Yeah. Okay, awesome. I think we can. Oh, yes, question. Okay. Yeah. Again, questions about best programming language. I really can't help you. I'm just going to cover C++ modern features. Okay. It depends on a project. If you require a specific language for a project, learn it, use it in the project. That's it. That's all I can say. All right. We'll be ending the class today. See you guys next week. We'll be covering. So this was sort of a basics of programming. We'll be covering some more features. I'll again cover some basic data structures that we use in C++, and then from that we'll start building the newer features like object-oriented programming and so forth. Okay. All right. See you guys next class. You will get access to all these recordings in the Google Sheet. So keep an eye on that. I'll upload them after the session today. Okay. Thank you, everyone. It was. I hope you guys enjoy this course. Yeah. Happy coding. To access the Google link, please. You should get that from the NPTEL. If you don't, please write to the support. Oh, yeah, somebody put in the chat. Yeah, please access that. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.